Now I'm gonna get locked in. It's okay. We'll just do it like this.
Oh, no way. Oh my god! No way! Oh my god!
Everybody to episode 113 of 1 million of the Serial Chillers podcast. As always, I ask, how goes it? Hello, Greg.
Good, man. Doing well.
It's good. Very insightful. Thank you.
That's me.
Pretend you heard an X-Files theme song there. That's good. We've been doing this for 5 years, and still Hello Greg's the only one with his own theme.
Because I'm the producer.
There we go. That's how we get it done. Okay, well, we're here with Amanda and Matt. Hey, guys.
Hello.
And we'll get to a little more of them in a moment. But first, most of you know how the show works. Let me explain it for anybody that doesn't. Each week, I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell the story of an infamous serial killer. Something true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, or otherwise mysterious. If something isn't clear, be sure to chime in, because if you have questions about the questions, be sure to ask questions, because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
About the questions? I think we're good.
Or anything? Then welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast.
Cool. By cool song, you mean free riff that I stole from the internet.
Yeah. It's a cool song. Question number 1. In what year was Henri Landru born? So it's, who knows, right? Right. So closest to the answer gets 250 points. If you nail it somehow, you'll get 1,000 points. All right, Matt says 1896, 1855. Those are some pretty great guesses, honestly. Henri Landru was born April 12th, 1869. Now I have to do math.
Nice.
14. Oh, yes. Give Amanda 250 points. Both in the 1800s. You guys are like, yeah, this name. This is an especially 19th century name. Yes, he was born April 12th, 1869 in Paris, France. Okay, so great guesses, both of you, because, I mean, I would have been like 1954. That would have been my guess for sure. So let's do some full guess intros. Welcome. First question, 250 points. Welcome, Amanda. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Very good to have you. Matt, how's your day going?
Good. Enjoying the weekend.
All right. Well, are you ready to be a part of just, I don't know, debauchery for a while? That's kind of what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what not what we do best, but it's what we totally rip off of other people's work the best. So I'll give you guys a few references and citations for the show. Good old Wikipedia, guys. That's why I give them $5 a month, because I get in there.
Oh, you're that guy?
Hey, listen, they ask. I'm like, you know what? I am using this a lot. I use $5 a month on a lot worse things. So let's give Wikipedia.
Do you think they'd make more money if they just charged 10 cents per lookup?
For me, yes, a lot more. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like what that.
But I don't know that I'd pay that. Like, what do you gotta have an account, and then it's like, what are you just gonna charge my card every time 10 cents, or is it like at the end of the month? Are you gonna count up all that I did?
10 cents per lookup.
No, I don't like it.
Don't use Wikipedia then.
I'll keep donating. All right, let me tell you some of the other people I ripped off then.
For free.
From the book Landru's Secret, The Deadly Seductions of France's Lonely Heart Serial Killer by Richard Tomlinson, and dailymail.co.uk and vintagenewsdaily.com. If you guys want to find us, you can do it on Instagram and TikTok. You know where to do it. It's at Serial Chillers. Just type it in. Same with YouTube. Threadless store, same. Sticker store, same. Just go to serialchillerspod.com. It's all there. The Patreon, you guys can give as little as $1 a month, and you will get the episodes 1 day early. If you give 5 or more, you get 1 day, right? Am I correct? I forget, man. We're rusty. But thank you. Yeah, thank you everybody for doing that. You can also just donate if you're not into like giving a monthly donation. We have a donation page. You go, you click on it, and you give us money.
You can
remember though, Patreon, you give $10,000 a month, and we'll take you to Disneyland.
Yes, sir.
Just do it for 1 month, right?
No, minimum 2 months.
All right, minimum 2 months. Greg said it. So the rule is written, so it shall be done.
That's what it takes to get me to Southern California. It's $20,000.
So serialchillerspod.com for everything. And if you want to send us any, cool drugs or memorabilia, non-explosive stuff, P.O. Box 1229, Clovis, California, 93613. Remember, explosive stuff is acceptable, but just make sure it's attention hella Greg.
I don't ask for much.
But when he does, he needs it done his way.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, guys, let's talk about this crazy Frenchman, Henri Landru. We get a lot of hate from around the world, guys. We're just going to keep it going. April 12th, 1869 is when he is born. Paris, France, to a laundress mother and a furnace stoker father. So like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, right? Do you think he had the same accent?
I don't.
Just
honestly
terrible British accent in Paris, France?
I was going to say, I'm trying to remember what Dick Van Dyke sounds like, and I can't.
Well, Vic Van Dyke.
Yes.
We can't say Dick on the internet. He did a terrible British accent for the entirety of that movie. And it's pretty...
Was it intentionally bad?
No, I think he was going for it and just not doing a very good job. But he's so damn charming and handsome.
Just a whole country of people who sound like Stewie Griffin.
So his parents were very strict Catholics, and he was educated by monks in the Catholic Church. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know there were monks in a Catholic church.
Yeah.
They're called friars.
Oh, is this a real thing?
Like, do you remember Friar Tuck from Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a monk. Oh. They wore the little brown thing, and they have the.
That's what the Padres are. They have like the friars.
The cul-de-sac.
The cul-de-sac.
Or the Mr. Burns, if you will.
Thank you. Excellent. So from an early age, he would serve as an altar boy, which if history is what I believe it is, then he already probably doesn't have much of a chance. He's hanging out with monks and being an altar boy, getting tucked away, and what is, I will just say, a controversial church for children to be alone in. What's odd is that his parents and his older sister didn't even worship in the same church in which their son and brother was an altar boy. So on Sundays, he went and did his altar boy thing, and then when he was done, he'd wait outside until their service let out. I was like, I did some great altar boy, and how'd you guys do over there worshiping? Oh, good, Henri. Thanks. How's it going?
How was church? He's like, I went 2 for 2 with collection plates. They were both full. Like, you guys should have been there.
I'm batting 666. Oh my God, I gotta get a donation out of here. I think that's also strange. Like, oh, we're not going to the church that you do that.
We go to the nice church. You have to go to this one.
Everybody has to pay their dues, Henri. So he would continue to serve in the church until he became a subdeacon. Subdeacon, he would light candles.
It's like a regular deacon, but he wears a collar.
And a leash, or as a subdeacon, he would light candles and assist the priest with his vestments. You're not funny. While serving the church, Henri would meet his future wife, Marie Catherine. I'm going to call her MC. That just makes it easier for me. She saw him at the service. And
his wife motorcycle club.
Hey, it's fun to get to imagine. If you want to picture his wife as Marie Catherine, you want to picture her as motorcycle club, Monty Claiborne, Michael Clarence, Mom Clancy. Any of these things work. She's still the same woman, regardless of the name you give her in your head. It's like when you read a book and then you hear somebody say the name of one of the characters, and you're like, oh, that's not how I pronounce it.
Run like the wine. Run like the wind. I've only seen it in books.
Oh, okay. There's going to be a lot of Simpsons references, you guys. So, these two, love at first sight, guys. MC, Motorcycle Club, and Henri saw each other. He's, lighting candles, helping with spearmint vest things. And their first child was born 1891. That's right, love at first sight. They get together. They go on to have children. 1891. The first one is born out of wedlock, which I don't think they appreciate very much.
Yeah, the Catholic Church frowns on that.
They're like, do not use birth control, but also you better
be married.
Better not.
That's how they get you to not have premarital sex.
Is that how it works?
That's how they trick you into it.
You know what? I think you're probably the most expert in Catholicism that I know, so I'm gonna say that's correct. So, love at first sight. They go on to have children in 1891. So, 1891, he is He's 22 years old at this time. So he's met a lovely lady at church, right? like one does. It's a great place to meet somebody. You're around like-minded people. You're lighting candles. She thinks you're mad sexy doing it. It sounds like a pretty good way to go.
She's like, I like when you use that long thing with the bell on the end to put the candles out.
Ooh, when the smoke comes up. So,
swinging that incense pot.
Is that sage? So he would go on to have 2 more children, one of which was born in 1896, and her name was Suzanne. And the last of 3 children born between Henri and Motorcycle Club was Charles, who was born in the year 1900. You started it.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
The eldest of the 2 children were born after Henri had started his mandatory 3-year military service. He would serve in the town of Saint-Quentin, right? Is that French?
San Quentin?
It's Saint Quentin. Saint Quentin. But he would begin as You're gonna get fucking grilled for this. He would begin as a private and work his way up to quartermaster. And during the 1890s, Marie Catherine worked mostly as a laundress while Henri did many jobs. So he did his 3 years. He actually moved up more than most privates do in 3 years. But military life was not for him. So he did his 3 years mandatory and said, I think I'm going to go do absolutely nothing. How's that
This
sound?
sucked. I'd like to leave now.
Appreciate it. Is that you do the salute or whatever? Okay, I'm out of here, man.
Peace.
So during the 1890s, again, she worked as a laundress. Henri bounced around to
Do
many
you think
jobs.
his discharge was honorable?
Are you trying to say honorable? So he comes back. He's doing odd jobs. She's working as a laundress. Question number 2. Which of these jobs did Henri not do? So 3 of these jobs he did do. 1 he did not. Was he A, not a plumber's accountant? B, not a furniture salesman? C, not an assistant to a toy maker? Not the assistant toy maker. And D, assistant baker?
Banker?
Baker. No. Did I put banker in there?
Yeah.
Well, it's baker.
Baker. It's fine.
Like 18 people watch it on YouTube. Ignore the N.
It's a typo.
I use swipe to text on most
What's
of
that
these
extra B
designs,
for?
Was it plumber's accountant, furniture salesman, assistant to a toy maker, or assistant baker/banker? It's up to you.
Either way, he's making that bread.
It is baker. Baker is what's supposed to be there. So. Right,
You're thinking too hard there,
did
honey.
he not do? All right, Matt. What didn't he do?
I said furniture salesman.
He was not a furniture salesman. What did you say, man?
I said toy maker.
He was not an assistant to a toy maker. The Dwight Schrute of toy makers. Well, he did many jobs, such as a plumber's accountant. Oh, there's one that he was. And then you guys said that. He was a furniture salesman. Sorry, Matt. And he was an assistant to a toy maker. Sorry, Amanda. The one thing that he didn't do was a baker banker. And it truly wasn't I forgot which occupation. His swiped text. That's definitely 2 a.m. swiped text.
As soon as I said it, as soon as I was like, you mean banker? And you were like, no, baker. I was like, that might be the answer.
I thought so, but I didn't want to take the easy route.
Or maybe that's exactly why I did that.
Did it on purpose.
Never
out here playing 4D chess.
I never thought of that, did you? I've been told I write good questions. So
You do write good questions.
I should have been a teacher. So, again, he was a plumber's accountant, a furniture salesman, assistant to a toy maker. He couldn't decide what he wanted to do. Marie Catherine would always have nothing but good things to say about Henri, however, going as far as to calling him the model husband. So he has many jobs, but he's getting the bills paid. He's always got a job. He might be a little shady sometimes, and she doesn't really want to talk about that, but to her, he's always the model husband. So she's the motorcycle club, he's the model husband. Everything in their life should be going swimmingly, from what I understand. Although she did acknowledge that she knew that Henri loved to chase other women, but his ability to sway women never interfered with his ability to provide for the family. So she's like, hey, it's cool to read the menu as long as you eat at home. All right, look, I know what you're out. You gotta get there. You gotta look around. He's bringing the money home. He's paying the bills here.
I feel like that's something we've discussed before, though. Like a lot of the...
That's because we're re-recording this episode for
I know, but I mean, it's something that we've brought up in a few different episodes.
Is very accepting wives to very terrible men.
Yeah, a lot of these
Well, that's
wives
how
and girlfriends
you can get
are
away
like...
with it, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh man, you're a piece of shit, but like, the bills are paid, I don't really have to like ask for a whole lot.
Why are you gone between midnight and 6 a.m. every Monday through Thursday?
Right, like...
It's none of your business.
Yeah,
you know what? It's not. The mortgage has been paid.
They just don't want to deal with them is what it is. You're gone.
Well, and
You're not my problem.
That's what I'm thinking is like, are these guys just like that insufferable to be around that when they're gone out of the house, they're like...
bed to myself.
Yeah, like, I could finally starfish on the bed or whatever, but the mortgage is paid and I don't have to sleep next to this dickwad. Like, it feels like they're just so excited that they're gone out of the house, they don't care that they're out murdering.
I don't disagree. And so he's not even out murdering yet. But, you know, he's just out, you know, she doesn't even think that he's getting with other women. He's a flirt. He likes to look. He's out. He's like the guy in the 1890s going like, "Hey, mama, let me take a look at that ankle." You know, totally in French.
You like these spats?
He's window shopping.
Yes, exactly. So
riding around on a penny farthing bike.
Playing.
Play me out, Johnny.
So again, he likes the women, but it never interferes with his ability to provide for the family. From a young age, Henri also always wanted to be an inventor. That's fun, didn't a lot of us? I like broke mini clock radios, taking them apart, being like, "I'm an inventor." Like, yeah, you just broke that. Now I'm gonna invent a way to fix it. I invented a condiment bottle that housed ketchup and mustard on two sides of the same bottle. Oh, look at you!
I was like 7.
Man,
I never patented it. Somebody's probably going to steal it now.
Yeah, I feel like that's been taken, right?
I mean, since 1994, yeah, probably.
So he didn't want to be just any inventor. He wanted to become a famous inventor and change the world. No mediocrity for Henri Landru. He's like, what do you want me to invent, like a new fork? Yeah, right. I'm going to invent something that's going to change the world.
It's got one less prong. I call it the threak.
It is said that his ambition to become this way may have been what led to his downfall mentally and his eventual fall into crime. In 1898, he designed something he thought could make his name stand out amongst the biggest in the game. Question number 3. What did he design? Was it A, an early form of a glider? B, an early motorbike? Remember, it's just 1898. Not a lot of motorcycles floating around. C, an early automobile? Or D, an early radio? Not every home would have radios for about 30 years. Is it a glider, a motorbike, an automobile, or a radio? 1898 is the year. I'll give you that.
What year were cars invented?
I mean, I think they're technically a thing at this point, but I don't think that they're like...
They're not everywhere like they are now.
And it's not like, oh, I know how to, how a car operates and how to make one.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Trade secrets.
He's like, I'm going to make a motorcycle. And what are we going to power it with? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
Does fear work?
Well, his wife is the motorcycle club.
Yo.
Wingo.
All right, Matt, what'd you say?
I said a radio.
A radio.
I said a radio.
Also a radio. No. It was a motorbike. Motorcycle club is the way.
It's twice I've tried to drop hints now.
You'd already written it, though. Quicker with the hints.
Henri had designed and wanted to manufacture a early version of a motorbike. Coming at you fast. Question number 4. What did he call this motorbike? A, Étalon, which means stallion. B, the Landru. C, the Henri. Or D, Guépard, which means cheetah in French. Étalon, stallion. The Landru, his last name. The Henri, his first name. Or Guépard, which is cheetah.
It says leopard on there.
Yeah, whatever.
I wasn't going to say anything this time.
Listen, I did it at 2 in the morning, I said. Sorry for the 19 of you watching this. Are a cheetah and a leopard the same?
No.
No?
I don't. That's why. Did you hear the upward inflection? I was asking a question.
That's how you know it ends in a question mark.
Okay. What do you think, Amanda?
I said his last name. B.
His last name.
I said D, the leopard. Or the cheetah.
The cat with spots, damn it! He designed it and called it the Landru. So 250 points for Amanda. She knows he's a narcissist, motherfucker. Yes, the Landru. So many people saw this and they wanted to invest in the company because they believed in his design, but more than that, they believed in him. If nothing else, Henri was said to be an incredibly charming son of a bitch. We'll see a tad more later that he could talk money right out of the pockets of businessmen and talk women right out of their 13 layers of clothing and a corset. The future investors were ready, and he had nothing set up yet. So he asked some of the investors to invest a little capital early so that he may buy and set up the factory to manufacture the Landru. With that money in hand, he had set to build a revolutionary factory where not only the motorbike was of his design, but also some of the machinery that would manufacture it. Like, what this is, as an investor, you're like, yes, dude!
This guy's got an idea, he's got a business plan, he's got everything.
He's got, like, proprietary machines with which to create it. Like, yes, get me in on the ground
Shut
floor.
up and take my money.
Yes. So, many investors came forward. They wanted to put down the capital early, even before like the bike was ready and prototyped. So with that money in hand, he set to build the revolutionary factory. And these guys are thinking they're going to be so rich. Fuck yeah, Henri, this guy's taking us to the top. Let's go. So Henri took the cash and quickly disappeared. In addition to his motorbike scheme, he would also be involved in some others. Okay. Children's toy, suburban railroad west of Paris. All of these ideas, he would like get some investors, take the money. That was his main. He didn't rob banks. He
was a con man.
Yeah, just got some money as fast as he could, got the hell out of there. And this, it's the 1890s or early 1900s. So
it's not a crime if they just give it to you.
You can just like move 2 towns over and they're like, and he was never heard from again.
Disappeared off the face of the earth.
So during this time he was making money, but he was constantly on the run, and he saw very little of his family while he laid low in nearby Le Havre. Yep, that's definitely how it's pronounced. Don't look it up. Remember, if you're using this show for research, don't at all ever. Anybody? You guys speak French? Come on!
No French?
Come on! You work in wine.
No.
Come on!
Pourquoi? Is that French?
I was gonna say, what does that mean, Greg?
Doesn't it mean for what?
I don't know.
Oh. I don't know either.
I took 2 years of French, and all I can ask for is a peanut butter sandwich, and they don't eat peanut butter in France. So.
All I can say is "Muscusi, muscusi."
It's Italian.
It's the #1 Fred Armisen character of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's on the run. He's laying low in nearby Le Havre, and he would stay there for about a year as the authorities and the people he had robbed were looking for him. So he didn't even run. He really just kind of like went to one town. He was like, they'll never find me in Le Havre. It's just gonna get worse as we go, guys. Just so you know, he would stay there for about a year as the authorities were looking for him, and finally in 1904 it would all catch up with him, and that would culminate in his arrest. He was caught in the middle of trying to defraud a bank and led police on a foot chase. He would eventually fall during the chase, and that would lead to his capture because he's a clumsy asshole. When he was arrested, he was placed into Santy prison, where he had a fake suicide attempt in which he would place his neck through a noose that was made from a bedsheet. It is said as soon as the guard was walking in, so it would look legitimate. So essentially, like, he was standing there, a guard would walk up and he'd go, "Ah!" And they're like, "Oh, Henri Landru is trying to kill himself." And they're like, "No, I saw him do that. What's this stupid jerk?"
He was waiting.
What if they just left him, though? Like, all right. One less to deal with. Yeah, one less mouth to feed. Henri thought he could do it this way because he'd be in no real danger, and while incarcerated, and after a suicide attempt, he would be tended to by Dr. Charles Vaillant, who at the time was one of France's best criminal psychologists. Vaillant concluded that Henri was, quote, on the frontiers of madness. And last time we recorded this, I really appreciated this term because he's not the only doctor that's going to use it. This must have been like a French, and I bet you, now that I think of it, there's probably some American like term that doctors use that's totally the translation of this French, on the frontiers of madness.
But the way they sounded and the way they on the frontiers of madness makes it sound like he's blazing the trail, like he's out there, like.
Exactly, dude.
They're like, yo, we've never seen anybody be insane like this before. Like, this guy's drawing on the walls and shit. Like, we've never seen that.
It's on the frontier.
This guy's doing shit we haven't thought of yet.
He's a trailblazer of madness.
He's the Daft Punk of insane. They're French. And pourquoi means for what?
Oh, thank you for looking that up. So he was on the frontiers of madness, where the doctors would say that he had not yet gone fully insane, and therefore was responsible for his actions. Sure, he's
still on the porch. He hasn't left the property.
He's not totally insane. Yeah, he's just kind of insane. So
he's drawing on the walls and shit, but it's legible.
Look, for the record, I never mentioned drawing in the walls and shit. That's totally Greg's thing that he's bringing into this. The mind wants what it wants.
If Henri Landru doesn't like it, he can tell me about it.
It's true. Okay, so Henri saw some other doctors, like we said. 2 other psychiatrists would confirm the findings that Dr. Vaillant had frontiers of madness.
Were they independent diagnoses, though?
Independent diagnosis.
They're not like, hey, this guy said he's on the frontiers of madness. I like that.
2 independent diagnoses, 2 confirmations of Dr. Vaillant's diagnosis. So that's, we got 5 psychiatrists who are like, yes, frontiers of madness, 100%, that's what it is. Dibs on the band name, by the way. Vaillant did not like the idea of Henri's future of freedom and told Motorcycle Club that she should be on the lookout in the future. That's pretty cool of him to be like, hey, he's kind of crazy. We don't really have a lot to lock him up for right now, but maybe just keep me like sleep with one eye open. Yeah, I totally wrote this from Metallica 100 years early. Gripping your pillow tight.
I feel like there should be some sort of like guard, 24-hour this guy's on the frontiers of madness. We don't know what he's gonna do, so let's just keep an eye on him.
But who's gonna pay for that?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna get the royalties from my new band, Frontiers of Madness. Maybe that could that could pay for it. Just me on the front, just heavy eyeliner. I like it. I'm going to move forward with this. I don't need your guys' approval. So he was actually sentenced to 2 years in jail to be served in the city of Fresnes, which is totally real and not related to Fresno at all.
I was going to say.
Some people call it, it's like someone was going to call it Fresno or Fres-yes and kind of got stuck in the middle. They're like, Fresnes! Shit. So this is a place south of France. This would begin the up and down adventure for him and what we'd find him in jail many times throughout the next decade. And his poor family is still together and loving him and we'll wait for you, which is, I don't know, necessarily a great decision. But they're just barely making it, living in whatever housing they could find in and around Paris. And in 1909, this is 9 years after his youngest kid is born, he's kind of still just bouncing around. Henri tried to swindle a woman out of her money by swaying her into marriage by convincing her that he was rich and successful and a businessman, as well as convincing her to hand over her savings in a premarital contract. So we talked about being able to talk him out of 13 layers of clothes and a corset. He's like, I am a businessman. Yes, I do business, and you should sign a prenup that gives me all your money.
So since the last time we recorded this, and
now you learned a lot about French matrimony.
No, I watched The Americans. Have you guys watched that? It's fine. It's a fine show, but it's about these Russians who are spying in the U.S. and it's in the 80s and everything. But the husband Phil, he seduces a lady who works at the FBI. And says, "Oh, I'm your boss's boss. We're doing an investigation. But I'm really interested in you. But I can't tell anybody about us because if I do, you'll get fired. I'll get fired. We'll get fired, and my investigation will be blown all to hell. So you got to keep this quiet. But I really like you. So they start going out, but they can't go out in public. And he marries her, but he's like, I have my own place, and it has to be separate because if they ever show up at my house to do anything, I can't have proof. You can't have proof that I live here. I can't have proof that you live there." So he has this whole elaborate lie concocted why he can only see her 3 nights a week and it's only between these hours and all this stuff. So after hearing that, him saying, yeah, man, let's get married. Of course, I'm a businessman. I'm doing business stuff.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man.
Yeah, but I get that a little more now because I've actually seen it, obviously in a show. But
yeah, I think James Bond's been doing it a while too.
Well, this seems like a little more than the honeypot thing, though, because this is something you have to keep up.
Right. He'll do it as long as he can, but he's already done, right? He got her to sign over his savings in a premarital contract. So you just be like, all right, thanks, you stupid idiot dumb face, I'm out of here. And
bye.
He's got a contract. He's getting started out here. Frontiers of Madness. He would be found trying to cash her investment certificates and tried for the theft and the fraud. So he literally did that. He got the contracts, got the money, and was like, yes, and snidely whiplashed his way out of there. And she's like, oh, what the hell? I thought you were going to marry me. He's like, nah, you thought, bitch, and ran away. And
boy, that makes you look dumb.
Yeah, the authorities brought him in on the charges of theft because he took more than he was actually even allowed to take from the premarital contract. So he would spend another 3 years in prison for this theft. And while he was in prison this time, it wasn't him who faked a suicide, but his father, who actually pulled one off. Oh. He would hang himself from a tree outside of their home. Marie Catherine would say that her father-in-law committed suicide due to his son leading a life of criminal activity. So,
just so disappointed with how his kid turned out.
That's what Motorcycle Club said. I don't know I wasn't there. I didn't ask his dad. But apparently he was quite a thorn in the side of the family.
Mr. Landru?
Before you go, a couple questions. Here, let me just lift your foot out so you can leave.
1 kick for yes, 2 for no.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's tough. You guys are parents. Mm-hmm. It's tough to think oh man, if my kids are disappointments, that suck, and I would want them to be better. I don't know, but it's a different time. Take my own life for it. That seems like a very honor filled.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a tarnished legacy, and he doesn't want to carry it.
Yeah.
That's because this feels like it's still back in the day when.
Oh, so what? It's on the tree branch to carry it? Unfair.
From nature back to nature.
Guess so. Yeah, it's wild. But due to this disappointment with his son, his father left all of the money to Marie Catherine, which was 12,000 francs, which is about $40,000 in today's money.
Hey-o.
Nice little windfall. And he made sure that Henri's name was on none of that because he didn't want his son to get his
Good for
hands
him.
on it.
That's a smart move.
Which honestly is the way it should have been. Well, just after his release from prison, Henri would reunite with his family and swindle all of the money away from Mary Catherine and the children before disappearing once again.
Yo, can I borrow 20, 40,000 francs?
Just saying. I hate this guy so much.
What? He seems like such a good dude.
In the winter of 1913 and early 1914, Henri pulled off his most financially successful swindle when he again used the, quote, investments for an automobile company thing. Question number 5. How much in today's money did he get out of the scam? So you don't have to give it to me in 1914 francs. Just give me what the scam would have got him in today's money. I know, it's so confusing. Enjoy your math. I have the answer right here.
So you have to know conversion rate and inflation. So,
all right, what'd you say, Matt?
I said 100,000.
100,000.
I said 80,000.
80,000. Henri would swindle just north of 35,000 francs, or about 120,000 in today's money.
All right.
Give Matt 250 points. Put him on the board. Yeah. 120,000, that also doesn't seem like very much money either for starting an automobile company, but simpler times, simpler times.
That was back when cars only had $11 worth of parts in them.
Also, 120K to the pocket and just disappearing. That's actually
that's dope.
It's a good little payday, yeah. In 1914, he took off with the money and his father's inheritance that did not belong to him. So he took off with about that $40,000 plus the 120K here, and said, "See ya, family. I love you." Wait, no, I don't.
Bye.
Exactly. He was caught and tried and convicted for the fraud, and this time they would take his previous crimes into account, and when sentencing him, made that work against him. He was given 4 years of hard labor, followed by a lifelong exile to the French Pacific island of New Caledonia. So he was exiled. You're going to an island. You get 4 years hard labor, and then you are moving to an island, and that's where you live now.
That's tough as hell, though. To be exiled, kings and shit get exiled.
Yeah.
That's kind of a notch in the belt of
I think the whole thing is this isn't a capital offense to them. They're we can't kill him. He's just defrauding people. What can we do? Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll put him on an island and,
who knows? Maybe he'll make another Australia.
Put him on an island by himself.
Yes, exactly. There's some other assholes out there. We let them figure that out.
You ever read Lord of the Flies? Kind of like that.
You're a piggy. So, yes, that's kind of scary to me. I think I'd rather hear that I was getting the guillotine than you're going to be exiled to an island after your 4 years of hard labor.
That's what you do. You use the hard labor to get in shape so you can survive on the island.
I suppose. So instead of taking the lifelong exile, he would escape to a village near the town of Chantilly. This was approximately 30 miles north of Paris. That's it. That's all you had to do. Escape your lifelong exile. You drive to Conman.
Freedom.
He should have just changed one letter of his name and then been good.
Yeah, I mean, that's all.
My name's Henri Landru.
That's probably how it's pronounced anyway.
Henry.
Whoa, how'd you say that? It's a weird pronunciation. You're not from around here, are you?
Knock out his taillight on his homemade car.
So he lives in Chantilly now, 30 miles north of Paris. Gets away from a lifelong exile somehow that way. Spending a lot of his time with a woman named Jeanne Couchet. She believed him to be a man named Raymond Diard, and since Henri was faking who he was and had a bunch of money, he was quite popular. So he's like, I'm Raymond Diard. Look at all this money. I carry it in my breast pocket and in my front pocket. And
Because if I put it in the bank, it goes away.
So he got to keep all that money even though he got to jail.
Yeah, because he was supposed to, before he got exiled and did the labor camp, that's when they go and you're supposed to forfeit all your stuff. So you get tried, you get charged, and it's like, all right, and now you must forfeit all your things. And he was like, how about fuck that? And at least took the money and moved, half an hour away by current automobile times, and it was like, all right, see you never.
Hi, I'm Raymond Dillard.
Yeah, Raymond Diard. So Jeanne Couchet was a 39-year-old woman who had her husband pass in 1909, so she's a widow. She believes him to be an industrialist from France. So he's got some stories, he's got some money, he's probably got himself a nice suit. Back it up a little bit, can't Google him, He wanted to take care of her, and he did. He did all he could to convince her to leave her job making lingerie for a dress shop. She was actually quite successful on her own. She was like... this wasn't a time where you just went into Victoria's Secret and bought lingerie. If you wanted it, you went to like a dress shop and like...
Got measured.
Yeah, I'll have the lingerie. It was like a backdoor deal. Mm-hmm. And she was the lady in the back who made all of the skimpy stuff that no one could really talk about.
All the unmentionables.
Yeah. There you go. And so
quit mentioning them.
And it was quite a popular dress shop, and it was quite a popular thing from that dress shop at the time. So... Henri's like, nah, you don't want to work and make your own money. Look I got all this totally earned as an industrialist money. And so she agrees, and she's like, you know what? Fine. I don't want to work anymore either. So Couchet likely believed that her luck had flipped, and she had finally found a man that would take care of she and her 17-year-old son, Andre, who at the time of his father died was only 7 years old. So... a little father figure for him. That'd be nice, and I think that really meant a lot to her. So everything was fairly normal in their relationship up until this point. Henri was once again referred to as a super great guy who only did the best for his little family. However, in 1914, when Germany declared war on France, Henri would again go missing. He was supposed to have met up with Jeanne in France when she had returned to be with Andre. So she went to go be with her son in France because they're living, outside of... They're living in Chantilly into Paris. Sorry. So she goes to see her son in Paris, and they're supposed to meet in Paris, and Henri or Raymond Diard never shows up. Jerk. So she was very upset that he hadn't made it. Distressed, she traveled back to the house that she shared with Henri in Chantilly. When she got there, it was clear that Henri had left, but he hadn't taken everything. As she looked for clues of where the man she loved could have gone, she made a shocking discovery. Question number 6. What was the shocking discovery? Was it A, a puddle of blood left behind? B, clues to his true identity? C, a dead body? Or D, Henri himself, but he pretended that he did not know her? I'm sorry, I do not know you.
I was gonna say, I think that's my favorite. She's like, Henri, and he's like, who are you?
Does not ring a bell.
She's like, this is my house.
No, he's Raymond. Sorry, he's Raymond Diard.
That's right.
So was it a puddle of blood, clues to his true identity, a dead body, or Henri himself pretending not to know her? He does seem like the asshole, just deadpan. I'm sorry, ma'am, I do not know you. You are raising my son!
Your name's Ray Dillard.
Huh? All right, what do you guys think?
I said blood.
I said clues to who he is.
I said himself, but he deadpanned that he didn't know her.
That's the one I want it to be, and I know what the answer is. Give the points to Amanda, because in a chest left behind were multiple identity papers showing that the man she knew as Diard was actually Henri Landru, a criminal con artist who was supposed to have been deported to New Caledonia for his exile.
Dang, they even sent him to a cool sounding place.
Well, he's also like such a narcissist that he kept all of, you know what I mean? Like he's got all of, like, not. It's not even like, oh, I kept my old ID just in case. It was like he had newspaper clippings and he had court papers, you know, like just things that he just didn't need to own any longer.
Mementos.
Yeah, stupid idiot.
Piece of hair.
Yeah, a little DNA in there for you. Don't worry, you guys can use this in 100 years.
This is going to come along. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, so Couché was this guy OJ, right? So Couché was clearly upset and told her family that she was done with Diard. He had broken her trust, and she couldn't believe what he had done to her and her son. However, upon his return in August of that year, she would quickly resume the relationship. Fearful of her son's fervent patriotism, Jean has asked him to keep a constant eye on her son Andre. So it's wartime. Andre's 17. He's not quite old enough to go into the army. Got to be 18 at the time. But she's like, I know he wants to go in. So she's like, Henri or Raymond, make sure he doesn't just sneak away one day and goes and joins the army. I
like that.
I like that she put him in charge of it. Like, what?
I like that she resumed the relationship. Like he came back months later and he's like, hey, I got a perfectly good explanation for what happened. And she's like, yeah, what is it? And he's like, it's a perfectly good one.
It's not me.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I was here. Where were you? Like, we must have just missed each other. I was there in fucking Paris walking around looking for you. Like you can't call, can't text.
So, to get away from it all, the three
That's
of
what
them...
he should have invented.
Henri, now gallivanting as Monsieur Couché, because remember, she knows that he's not Raymond Diard anymore. And she sold out Raymond Diard when she told her family and friends, oh, Raymond Diard left me. So now it's this Monsieur Couché. And they're like, that's him. No, totally not him. This is Monsieur Couché.
He's like, just tell him it's not me and they'll fucking buy it. Trust me.
What name are you going to use? I'll just use your last name. It's cool. Because remember, her name is Jean Couché.
Yeah.
And he's just Monsieur Couché. They moved to Vamouillet. Yep, that's it. A small town on the Seine River. Then fairly quickly, Andre learns that he is indeed being called into the army early. So he didn't even run away as a patriot. The army was like, yo, Germany's kind of kicking our ass a little bit. We need some guys. And you are in, buddy.
Why do you keep calling it World War I?
Are there going to be more? We know this because he wrote letters to a friend in the army and an uncle telling them about his excitement to finally get to serve. However, after those letters, no one can recall ever hearing from Andre or Jeanne ever again. It was as if they just vanished. Right, they just moved 18 miles south. Many women would go missing over the next 4 years or so. This isn't necessarily the order in which Henri met them, but this is the order in which he killed them. Some of them had long-standing relationships with him at the time of their deaths, and others were just getting to know him. Thérèse Laborde-Lien was 46 years old and killed in the city of Verneuil. She was born in Argentina and was estranged from her family and divorced from her husband. Her only real family was her son, who again was estranged from her. He was a postal clerk and was married and leading a life of his own. Henri and Thérèse met through a Lonely Hearts advertisement that was placed by Henri in May of that year. So he's putting ads in the newspaper. Lonely Heart man with bunch of money, industrialist looking for, I don't know, whatever.
I've seen single white female. I know how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. So he's out there doing the single white female thing.
Modern day Tinder.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the whole premise of the movie, though?
Of single white female?
Yeah.
I've never seen single white female.
I'm pretty sure she puts out an ad.
For a roommate.
Yeah, and then like it gets all sinister.
She tries to become her, yeah.
Yeah. They redid it with Beyonce and Ali Larter, and they called it Obsessed or something like that.
I've never seen that one.
Because it's probably bullshit.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great.
We learned a lesson about remakes, okay? They aren't good.
No, they called it something different, so it's not a remake.
Fair.
It's just plagiarism.
It was like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on a true story. Like, Ed Gein didn't do this. So, let's see. Henri and Therese met through the Lonely Hearts fan. It's also possible that they met through an ad that she had placed when she was looking for a position as a lady's companion. So, controversy. She might have placed the ad.
Just a gigolo.
Marie-Angélique Guyen was 52, also from Verneuil. She died in August of 1915, or was born in August of 19... No, died. I forget what year it is already. She was a widowed, retired housekeeper living near Paris's Gare de Lyon, who had inherited a substantial sum from her last employer.
So her employer passed and then just was like, give it all to her.
Not all to her.
Just
like he gave it to the company, but it was
give a bunch to her.
Like, I don't want the company to exist anymore. I wanted this much to go to my family and this much to go to my employees. And
it's mighty white of him.
You're right. Guyen answered Landru's May 1st, 1915 Lonely Hearts advertisement and believed his story about being the next consul general to Australia, in need of a wife to host diplomatic receptions. Like, I'm totally the consul general of Australia. I'm going to need a wife for that, though. So if anybody here thinks they can fill the bill, think you could throw some diplomatic receptions, I think you might be the lady. No. He probably just killed her. Bertha Ian was 55. She was killed in Gambay in December 1915, originally from Le Havre. Bertha Ian scraped a living as a cleaning woman and had suffered multiple bereavements, losing in turn her husband, her long-term lover, her 2 legitimate children, and her beloved illegitimate daughter in childbirth. She met Landru in the summer of 1915, probably via a second Lonely Hearts advertisement that he placed in Le Journal. What a sweet name for a newspaper.
Take that, Wall Street.
Posing as a businessman, Landru pretended he was in search of a wife to join him in the pretty colony of Tunisia. So it's just like, anywhere away. I am an important person.
Well, I mean, he's kind of got it figured out
there.
Though. He's kind of got it figured out that just say it's someplace that they can't track. Like, you can't Google it. You can't call your friend in Tunisia and be like,
I can't even find Tunisia on a map right now.
Who can find it all tucked away down there?
So Anna Cullum was 44. She also lived in Gambay. She died in December of 1916. So if we'll see, some of these are like, there's a year between these murders, because this is one of the times where he's like, all right, I got to do a little extra work in this one. Anna Cullum was a clever, attractive widow who worked as a typist at an insurance company in Paris and had a string of lovers since the death of her alcoholic, bankrupt husband a decade earlier.
They have to say it like that
because he was a fucking piece of shit.
No, not him.
Oh,
why'd they have? She had a string of lovers. Like what?
Because it was early Paris and the string of lovers. That's fucking. It's passion.
So that sounds French as fuck. Like that sounds like they would be into it.
They like ate snails and had sex. That's just what it was all about in the early 1900s.
Ate fries and kissed funny and ate toast.
No, they didn't eat fries. You know it.
You don't know.
No, I don't. I wasn't there. I was not there. But yeah, she had a string of lovers. Maybe they had a ménage à trois. You know, see what I did there?
Hold on, let me get translate out.
A meeting of 3. Her motive was for answering Landru's May 1st, 1915 Lonely Hearts advertisement was probably that she wanted a stepfather for her illegitimate young daughter, whom she had reportedly placed in the care of nuns in Italy. Now, I will say too, all of these first 4 women we spoke of all answered this. He didn't even have to put up multiple. They all answered the same. He put it in one time. And they were like, rich man? Yeah, fuck it. I might as well give it a try.
Casting a wide net.
Yeah, they died, though.
Right, but...
So she has the illegitimate daughter who is in the care of nuns in Italy. This little girl is never traced by the police, but Anna Colin was never seen again either. The little girl, Andre Babelet was 19. So we're seeing a swing here too, because it was like 30s, mid 40s. The last one was in her 50s. Andre was 19. She was also from Gambay, died in April of 1917. Chatty and vivacious, Andre Babelet was a nanny and possible casual prostitute from who Landru picked up one evening while riding on the Paris metro. Babelet spent the next 10 days living with Landru, whom she called Lulu, in a room rented near Paris's Gare du Nord. And then a further 2 weeks at his rented house near Gambay, where she was seen by a local game warden learning to ride a bicycle. So people saw him with her in multiple locations. I know it's a weird thing. The game warden saw her riding a bike.
No, but that makes total sense. Like that's why he would remember that. He's like, what's this 19-year-old girl doing? Oh, she's learning to ride a bike, and that's going to stick out in your head.
Yeah, I think a bicycle's fairly new at this point.
New technology.
Okay, so yes, she was learning to ride a bicycle. I mean, you could probably look that up, but they definitely had weird shape, like you said, the penny farthing bicycle stuff. I think like a normal bicycle might not be too far into its history at this point, which is weird to think about. We talked about too, is like, radios. Not everyone had a radio. Mm-hmm. Man, what?
Oh, they had same size wheels.
So the next woman is Celestine Buisson, who is 47. She's from Gambay in September of 1917. I'm thinking the 19-year-old thing might have been because she didn't answer an ad. He found her on the metro working as a lady of the night. Celestine Buisson, Greg, I know that you loved the descriptions, and I took most of these from the book. Mm-hmm. She was described as homely, trusting, and semi-literate. Everybody got like vivacious and attractive. She was homely, trusting, and semi-literate.
Like if somebody's gonna pick 3 words to
wait, what are we talking about? Like Floyd Mayweather levels of literate, or
like if somebody's gonna describe me after I'm dead, and the 3 things they choose are homely, trusting, and semi-literate, like. Fuck, dude, there's not a lot left.
Just to call me trusting when I put my trust in a killer and they killed me, just honestly kind of seems fucked up. Yeah. You shouldn't call me trusting.
She trusted him.
Naive, maybe.
Yeah. Homely, naive, and semi-literate, Celestine Buisson was yet another woman.
How'd she answer the ad?
If you can read every third word, you're in, buddy.
Somebody read it to her. She's like, hey... Tell me about that.
You just need context. That's how my kids read. It's context.
It just said money, and she's like, I'm in.
What's the sign for a franc? There it is.
We're going to Australia?
Whatever. Tunisia's fine, too. So, again, I say, homely, trusting, and semi-literate.
God, that's so rough. I feel so bad.
She would have been long dead anyway. May 1st, 1915, Lonely Hearts advertisement. LonelyFans is Greg's invention.
Yeah, LonelyFans with a Z.
Two Z's.
.net is my idea. It's a reverse OnlyFans where instead of you showing up and paying for nudes, I send you nudes and you pay me to stop.
Okay, so yes, she's barely literate, but she answered a Lonely Hearts ad, not LonelyFans. It is two Z's,
but it's .com.
Oh, it is? Okay. Damn it. I kind of would rather have the .net bag now that I'm thinking about it. Go get that one. So she was born in southwest France. Buisson was a widow who worked as a housekeeper and was lonely after the mobilization of her only son, who was illegitimate. So he's just like... all the widows, all of the like young sons he could be a father figure for that are very quickly all being shipped off to war. I think, like Greg said, he just sort of had it figured out. Landru's alias this time is Georges Fremiet, and he became engaged to Buisson immediately, but then put off their marriage for more than 2 years, pleading lost identity documents and long business trips abroad.
My mom has my birth certificate.
Yeah, so we could totally get married, but like, listen.
She's got it in a fireproof safe somewhere, and I don't have the key.
Also, I have to go to work, so I don't know.
For like months. I'll be back.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying, though. It feels like that show The Americans, like where he's just able to come up with some stupid lie that sounds believable enough to somebody who's desperate enough that it just works.
And boy, was he fine. I'm not saying if you go and like look at some place to find love in the newspaper that you're desperate.
No. But to believe that
he is finding the most desperate of the people that are replying to his.
Oh, there's no Facebook. You can't look people up.
Yeah,
I feel like there's somebody listening to this, or who will be listening to this, who's like, my boyfriend's gone for weeks at a time. It's not a big deal.
check on them.
Yeah,
Check on them.
they're a murderer.
Air tags are $25. I'm just kidding. Don't stalk anybody. Don't do that.
They're a murderer.
Don't come to the show for advice either.
If you're coming to this show for advice, don't.
Especially legal advice. Ooh, that's just a bad idea.
I am a lawyer,
Bird law.
but I am not an attorney.
Louise Jaume was 38 years old, also lived in Gambay, died in November of 1917. She was a devout Catholic working as a dress shop assistant who answered a Lonely Hearts advertisement that Landru had placed in a conservative newspaper after deciding to divorce her estranged husband. So he was like, all right, I'm done with Le Journal. I don't need any more of these damn libs. I'm going to advertise in this conservative newspaper now. I'm going to see what the fuck's up on the other side. No, this isn't 2023 America he's in. Jaume initially refused to sleep with Landru, who was Lucien Guillet this time, who was a refugee from German-occupied Adrans region. Of course, that's totally how you pronounce that too. He broke her... Listen, you guys, I get a lot of shit on the show because a lot of killers are from upstate New York. I don't know if you've ever been to upstate New York or looked at some of those names.
Got names like Schenectady.
They're fucking stupid, and they're hard to pronounce. Schenectady is one that I know, because it's a joke a lot. Yeah. But there are a lot of names. Just, whew. Then you go over to, like, the UK. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of, like, shurs and things that, like, nobody even pronounces. So when I'm going, like, he's from Worcestershire, they're like, oh, it's a Worcester. Like, what do you do? Don't say it like that.
Hey.
And, sorry. This was the woman, Jen. She was Jaume, initially refusing to sleep with Landru. He was not used to that. He's kind of just like, whoa, I'm a rich business guy. Remember, you sleep with me. That's kind of that's the deal. Initially, she wouldn't, but he would, quote, break her resistance and took her to Gambay on a one-way train ticket.
You is the appropriate response to that.
Because of the implications. So yes, he broke her resistance. I don't know whose quote that is because I can't remember exactly, but that's the term they used, and I definitely put it in here for that reason. He then took her to Gambay on a one-way train ticket after celebrating Mass with her at the Basilica of Sacré. That's not even a letter in Paris. Skip. Anne-Marie, or Annette Pascal, was 37, and she was also from Gambay. In April of 1918 is when she passed. On account of her wide-brimmed hats, Annette Pascal was nicknamed Mes Sombrero by her neighbors on the street near the Pierre Lachaise Cemetery.
That's tough, dog. They named her Mes Sombrero.
I think it's like Mrs. Hat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
Mrs. Hat.
Mediocre hat. They're just like, yeah, her sombrero's meh.
Yeah, perfectly cromulent hat. So yeah, she's Meme Sombrero. Her neighbors on the street near Pierre Lachaise Cemetery, where she lived and worked. So it's a cute, fun little nickname. She was also into making dresses for a Paris fashion house. Pascal was divorced and childless following the death of her only son in infancy. She was looking for a so-called vieux monsieur, or sugar daddy, in September 1916 when she spotted Landru's Lonely Hearts advertisement in the Paris evening daily La Presse. Marie-Thérèse Machandier was 37 in Gambay. So we're not getting to the deaths. Don't worry. We'll get there. We're just kind of
I lost count where we're at.
Yeah. That's the idea. Marie-Thérèse Machandier was 37, also from Gambay. She died in January of 1919. Born in Bordeaux, Marie-Thérèse Machandier was a career prostitute and a familiar sight on the street outside her apartment of Paris's Rue Saint-Jacques, where she liked to walk her two beloved Belgian Griffon dogs. She was like famous on this strip, not only for being a sex worker, but like, we see that lady, she's got those two dogs. Like, she's just well known in the area. At Landru's trial, the prosecution claimed that he first met the heavily indebted Machandier in October of 1918 after she advertised to sell her furniture. Circumstantial evidence suggests that he may have encountered her several years earlier at the Port Le Havre in the provincial town of Beauvais. did you find those dogs?
I looked up the Belgian Griffin dog, and it sounds tough. It sounds tough as hell.
Is it a tiny little guy?
It is a tiny little guy.
Oh, he's so cute. He's got a little beard. He thinks he's people.
Yeah. Like, what is that? That's not a dog you get known for walking.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I guess, yeah, it is.
Apparently. We're talking about it 105 years later, buddy.
Yep.
So the reason we don't know many causes of death are because Landru was a no witnesses type. Most, if not all, of his victims were murdered in one way or another, then dismembered. A huge reason he was able to go on such a reign of terror was due in large part to the war that was taking place. Kind of a big one. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. World War One. Why do they keep calling it World War One? It practically dismantled France's police forces. Landru mentions at some point that the town he lived in which was a considerable size, only had one constable. Considerable size is like 12,000 people. So there were like 12,000 people in one of the towns he was living in, outside Paris.
That is not a good ratio.
And had one cop.
Yeah. No.
That is not a good ratio of constables to citizens.
Yeah. In the second town in which he resided, it was a similar but easier situation, as the one constable was in his 70s, and the only other person of authority around was a member of the French National Police, but he was in a neighboring town 4 miles away.
So Barney Fife is in charge of one whole town.
Yeah. And then the other guy got to be like, quick police, 4 miles. That takes like, what, 6 days in 1915? So who knows when
You got to load up the covered wagons and head towards Oregon. Hopefully,
the Old West.
Yeah. Anything before 1960 is that.
Everybody's just wearing cowboy hats and boots,
Eating beans.
getting dysentery. Another reason would be that Motorcycle Club and her 4 children pretty much knew where he was the entire time and refused to help the police locate him.
Dang.
Listen, he sucks, but he doesn't suck that
Well, it
much.
was like every few months they'd be like, come on, we know you guys know where he's at. You know, they'd stop in, they'd check in with him, they'd be like, I have no idea. But like he was writing letters and he would send just enough money to like keep them being like, all right, he's cool, you know. Like
I'm working. I'm on business trips.
Remember Australia or whatever? Well, that's not what I told you, huh? Shit!
It's got a little notebook with everything written down.
Yeah, so this guy's an asshole. Another reason, his youngest son would also be actively working for him during all of his criminal activity. Charles was said to have removed furniture from several of the homes of women that Henri had killed and gotten rid of. So his son, Charles, got into the furniture game with him, and he would just go clear out the houses, sell some furniture. In addition to this, he acted as his father's chauffeur during any time he was near home. His eldest son, Maurice, was mobilized with the French army in 1915, and question number 7. What would become of Maurice? Would he A, become a petty thief while in the army? Was he killed in action? Was he badly injured in war? Or D, did he become a war hero? A, become a petty thief. B, killed in action. C, badly injured in war. Or D, became a war hero. Is there anybody redeemable in the Landru bloodline? What do you think, Greg? What do you think I have to know?
I don't think they're a redeeming bunch. Or, you know what? Maybe he's the outlier because his dad was disappointed. You know?
True.
So maybe
Like, Grandpa killed himself because of you.
Yeah, like I gotta bring it back.
All right, Matt, what'd you say?
I said D, war hero.
War hero.
There you go.
I'm thinking positive. What'd you think?
I said injured.
Injured in war. So he goes to war. He's mobilized and almost immediately arrested and charged with petty thief and fraud.
Wow.
He is caught selling stolen goods, some of which he received from his father and belonged to his first victim, Jean Couchet. Yeah, he's the piece of shit doesn't fall far from the turd or whatever, you know.
On that family legacy.
Yes. No,
What would
but
your
wait,
grandpa say about
Henri, you got to go kill yourself.
Yeah.
So those are the rules.
Rules is rules.
The family rules. We can't, oh no, please, no, or whatever. That tree looks really good though.
He wasn't setting the bar high, though. He was like, I'm already doing it, you can do it also.
That's true. Like, he wasn't disappointed
Nope.
because he was out there doing it.
That's true. He's
Now,
like,
if he had become a
now
war
he
hero.
become a war hero. He's like, my
Yeah.
son is legitimate. Yeah, I think that's so funny. He just became a petty thief and sold furniture for his dad while he was in the army. Hey, guys, I know a guy who's got some fucking chairs, huh? Now, he's not from New York, I understand.
Also, he's in a fucking world war. Like, how are you?
Hey,
Yeah.
you need places to sit in a war too, Greg.
I don't know.
Can't be standing all the time.
Hey, it's World War I. Why are you going home every weekend? I got to get some furniture.
Everybody, although we hate it, everybody's from upstate New York in our impressions. He was also involved in making cover stories and alibis for his father for the murders that he had committed. So he's just like, he's covering up for his dad, top to bottom. And I mean, look, I get that like children can be manipulated to see their evil parents as loving. I've seen it with my own eyes. This seems to me because Charles right now, he's 19 years old. He's seen his dad since, his dad's been gone since he was 6. He stops in every couple months, drops off, 200 francs and goes like, you guys got to keep washing the laundry or whatever, Hoover yourself out a little if you need. Come on, we're in France, lady. So I don't think, just like Henri never probably had a chance.
Well,
he
that's
didn't really
normal to
give
him.
his children a chance. Yeah,
It's
true.
normal to him, so that doesn't seem out of the ordinary.
So I know we're thinking like, what could poor Marie I couldn't even remember her name. I was about to just say Motorcycle Club again. Could poor Marie Catherine think of all this? Her children are criminals. In a turn of events, we'll find that Marie Catherine was actually closer involved with the crimes than it seemed. She was living in an apartment north of France the entire time during the war, and she was using the name Fremiette, which happened to be one that Henri also used while picking up women from Lonely Fans. At least once she would forge a signature required to gain access to a bank account of one of the women, which Henri had swindled money for her and likely killed. So he's bringing papers and being like, hey, just forge, this name on here. I need
It has to look feminine.
Yeah, exactly. And, her defense, I'm sure, is like, well, I didn't know what I was signing, but it's becoming more and more clear that she's hiding things. She's going by a different name right now, which is one that he went by in order to defraud somebody.
We know you know where he is.
And that
Just
person
tell us.
is now missing. Yeah.
No.
No. So when questioned about her involvement after his arrest, she initially claimed to be innocent, but would later admit that she had done it, but claimed that she wasn't aware of why Henri had asked her to sign the documents. The two daughters' involvement is a lot less certain. One daughter was once sent to bid on a home for Henri that he was interested in, and that's all I can really find. So she did like a little work for him, but
it seems to be above board.
And it was that one time, so far as I could tell. The third reason Henri was able to get away with it as long as he was due in a large part to the complacency of the police and the community that put much of the weight on the disappearance of the few women. Because the war is happening, women going missing, not really that big a deal. It's kind of a fucking war happening. We don't even have police officers to look into it. So Henri is like, all right, there's no cops, there's no war, and I got like a little cash money that I pretty much stole from my wife, and some other ladies who were my wife, and this other lady who was my wife, and this other lady who was my wife. I'm going to keep going at this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
no consequences yet.
So things are starting to get back to normal, though. We're working back to it. Question number 8. What finally got the police to pay attention? Was it A, a persistent relative of one of the victims? Was it B, Henri beginning to brag about his crimes? C, Henri getting careless in his crimes? Or D, they're back at full force and finally ready to take on these investigations? Persistent relative of a victim. Henri began to brag. Henri got careless. Or the police are back at full force.
This is a very good question, like good possible answers, because all of those have happened at one point or another. Like persistent relatives, or
thanks, really great,
or them getting careless, or like chopping it up and letting something slip.
Are you guys cheating over here?
She is.
All right, what'd you say, Amanda?
I said bragging.
Bragging about it. What do you think?
I said careless.
Getting careless. One woman was responsible. Shut up. One woman was responsible for getting police to focus on Henri. Marie Lacoste was the younger half-sister of Celestine Buisson, and she lived with her older half-sister and did not like Henri from the beginning. So yes, it is a persistent relative of one of the victims. Sorry. What do we got as a score here?
I'm losing. That's all that matters.
It's
750 to 250.
So we're 8 questions in. We have 14 questions. So you get plenty of time.
Back.
Plenty of time, as I like to say. And if I'm not mistaken, the last 3 questions, only one person is scoring on. So potentially, you got a swing coming there too. Trust me,
There does
much bigger leads have fallen.
there
Much smaller leads have been held onto, though.
There's a certain amount of strategy involved too after a certain point, because you got to make sure you answer different. Otherwise, like, cause especially if you're tied up and you're trying to take the lead, you can't be answering the same because you'll just be,
keep tying it up.
Yeah, keep tying it
Gotta
up.
go for the Hail Mary sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while you gotta go for the long shot.
So Marie Lacoste is like gung ho. She knows that Henri Landru, or whatever she knows him as at the time, I can't remember. I'll find out here. He is a bad dude. Her half sister is missing, and that she knows he has something to do with it. So she stayed with him during the summer of 1915, and Henri went by George Fremiette, which is now what Motorcycle Club goes by. Very early on, Marie believed Henri or George to be a marriage swindler, but there was no concrete evidence. So this is like a thing, right? It's like it's known about. Like you fucking marriage swindler, and he's still getting. See, in the early on in my research, I didn't realize it was like a common thing at the time. It was marriage swindling. So I was like, oh, he's getting away with it because,
Yeah, because he's a product of the time.
Yeah, and then I realized, this was like a fairly common thing because no one could be looked up. No one could be...
It's like identity theft today, where it wasn't a crime back then.
Right.
Or won't be a crime in the future.
Let's go to the past and steal a whole bunch of identities. Marie moved out in late 1915, and upon returning in early 1917, learned from her sister that George was now in charge of her investments, or Henri, however you want to go, Fremiette. She brought up her concerns to Celestine, and they did not go over well. So in the year and a half she's gone, she comes back, and she's like, oh yeah, he's in charge of all my money now. You're like, wait, but why? Like, just, cuz or whatever.
He's good with numbers.
Yeah.
He's a binker.
So she's... It's a good callback.
That was excellent.
So she brings up her concerns to her sister. Her sister is like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're just jealous. Or whatever she said. Because from that day forward, they would essentially be estranged from one another. Not too long after, Henri would take Celestine back to
You're just jealous because you can't land a sweet dude with a spotty past.
He would take Celestine back to his home in Gambay. She was purchased a one-way ticket and was never seen again. In 1917, Henri knew that Marie was on to him, so he sent 2 postcards to her, which she easily recognized as forgeries. She's like, this is my fucking sister.
She misspelled my name.
She also states that on many occasions, Henri invited her to dinner at Celestine's apartment. Knowing that it was fully empty by now, Marie always just assumed that she was being invited to dinner to be killed.
Smart girl.
She would always turn down the invitations and would eventually tell Henri to fuck off. She had assumed that her sister didn't want to communicate with her due to the fact that she had fallen in with a con man, and Marie had told her that was the case. So she's like, oh, she's with a con man, she knows it, and now he wants to kill me because he knows that I know.
To be fair, I was gonna.
It's true. It's not. She's not wrong.
She nailed it.
Yep. 1,000 points. So she just assumed her sister didn't want to talk to her or communicate her due to the fact that she had fallen in with a con man, and she told her that was the case. Marie had essentially written off the entire situation due to this until the summer of 1918 when Celestine's son was injured in the war. He was blinded and had reached out to his mother for assistance and for some money to get him home. Unable to reach her, he reached out to his Aunt Marie. She received the letter and immediately became troubled about her sister's fate. She went to the last known location of her sister, the apartment. There she spoke with a concierge who knew her and liked her. He told Marie that he hadn't seen Celestine since the last summer that she had left. However, Mr. Fremiette had been in there with other women since then. But even though he was no longer around, he paid off the lease and departed. So he got rid of her, gave her that one-way plane ticket train ticket to Gambay, in which she was never seen again from. Used the apartment for a while as, a place where ladies showed up. And then paid off the lease and was like, yeah, but you know what? I'm not going to live here anymore. Fuck you guys. And just took off. Bowling! So at this point, he officially believed her sister to be dead, and she went into full badass mode and began to compile all of the information she could get on Henri or George Fremiette, whatever his name is at this time. She had compiled many things, including descriptions and physical appearance. When she finally took her information to Paris police in January of 1919, they said that her dossier looked good, but question number 9, and then we'll take a break. Question number 9. Everything looked good, but what? Was it A, a woman could not have put this together? B, the statute of limitations was up to file a missing persons report? C, it wasn't their case because she was last seen elsewhere and not in Paris? Or D, they'd only take it if they could take credit for it? A woman couldn't have put this dossier together. The statute of limitations was up to file a missing persons report. It wasn't their case because she'd last been seen elsewhere, or they'd only take it if they could take credit for it. Another great question, Jesse. Thanks.
No, I really like that because I can totally see them being like, well, she couldn't have done this. She's a woman.
Yeah, A and D kind of go together, right?
I was going to say,
we'll take it, but
and then them being like, well, we couldn't do anything this good, so we're going to put our names on it and turn it in.
All right, what'd you think, Matt?
I said D.
I said D.
Yeah, we'll only take this if we take credit for it. No, in a sheer sign of laziness, they said, yeah, your sister didn't go missing here. You got to, go to Gambay. They might have something to do with it. I don't know. We're Paris, fuck you. So, yeah, they looked at it and were like, yeah, that's fine, but this isn't the police station that could do anything about it. So no points there, but a letter was written to the mayor describing Henri and her sister, and while the mayor thought that he knew the man she described in her letter, he didn't want to make an identification and be incorrect. So he gets the letter, the mayor of Gambay, and he's like, pretty sure I know who this is, but he doesn't want to be like, for sure I know who your sister's murderer is, he's living here, he's this guy. So he's kind of like in this weird flux point. He thought it could be a man he knew as Raoul Dupont. What he did instead was...
That's a good fucking name.
Right?
Raoul Dupont.
What he did instead was put Marie in touch with a woman named Victorine Payet, another sister of another of Henri's victims. This was Anna Colum, and he knew about her because she had come asking similar questions 2 years earlier. So she was just not quite dedicated enough to bring the police into it, I guess. The two women would get together and talk about similarities in their two cases and would officially file 2 missing persons reports for their sisters. After some time back and forth, the case would finally be assigned to Inspector James Bellin. We'll finish up with the story. Have to take a little break. If anybody's going to use the restroom or anything, we'll do that. Come back or we'll kill you.
Better.
Welcome back, everybody. This means we don't have to kill you. If you didn't just hear me say that, we're fucking coming for you.
You'll never know it.
Exactly, because you didn't hear that. Which means it's not premeditated, right? Because you didn't hear it?
Crime of passion.
Shh.
Crime of passion.
You need plausible deniability. Stay out of this, Greg. All right, we're all rested. We're stretched, right? Ready to go. I would say second half of the show, but it's more like second 1/8 of the show. I forget to write breaks. So we just learned that the case has been handed to Inspector James Bellin, and Henri's arrest would be due to a friend of Marie Lacoste seeing him shopping with his current mistress. I love that this case is like, you've got a sister of a woman who went missing, who found another sister of a woman who went missing, who told all their friends, who are also like, well, then I'm going to be looking for that son of a bitch. And then one of them sees him, they're like, oh, shit, this shit is on right now. So she would follow him around from the shop, but would eventually become afraid that she had been spotted and ran home where she phones Marie Lacoste, who phones James Bellin. So, they're just on it. She gets home, she's like, I fucking saw him. He's right here. And she's like, okay, shit.
Phone tree.
Ring. Operator, I need to talk to James Bellin. So,
That, by the way, tough name.
Bellin?
Yeah.
And it's Belin.
Oh, okay.
Belin?
I thought it was Bellend. I'm like, that's
Oh.
a tough name.
No, Bellin? I'm just going to go with what I've said.
Yeah, no, you're probably
probably not right. But
righter
that's what
than
we're
I
using.
am.
So Bellin went to the store and retrieved a business card the man had left behind. Because fuck it, why not? He's a businessman. The business
he
card.
left it in the fishbowl at the front to get a free sandwich.
I don't have a business, but I am trying to win some free lunches. The business card was for a man named Lucien Guillet and contained an address. Bellin claims to have gone to the address that night, but knew he wouldn't be able to do much because the arrest warrant he had was for a man named Fremiette. So if this isn't Fremiette, he can't arrest him. That's what it says in the arrest warrant. Smart police work. We don't say that a lot here.
Yeah. Sometimes they.
It's nice to be able to say that.
Yeah, sometimes there's a wide miss, and this doesn't seem to be one of those wide misses.
You know, like John Wayne Gacy buried like 20 boys under his house, and the police were like, "Oh shit, yeah, now I smell it. Now I smell it."
Yeah.
So the following day, he would return to the address with 2 more officers, get a little backup. You know, when they got to his home, he had just returned from harassing a woman on the metro. They know that because of police reports of this woman being harassed by this man who was described as someone who looked a lot like him.
Do you think he came home and was like, "All right, harass woman on the metro." Like, go grocery shopping. Damn it, I was just out. Like,
you know what? I hope so.
Just the way that he just returned from that. Like, he'd gone out, dropped off his dry cleaning, harassed a woman on the metro.
Yeah, I don't think they knew immediately, but when they got into it, they were like,
Right.
"Well, you were just talking to other police officers because you got caught harassing a woman on the metro. You son of a bitch." So on April 12th, 1919, Henri Landru was arrested. The report filed by Bellin was heavily plagiarized from Marie Lacoste's dossier and gave himself full credit for tracking down Landru. Little hint there, I didn't write those because technically he did steal her dossier and was like, "Oh, I can't put a woman's name on here. It's 1919. What am I? I'll get killed for that."
What is it, 2023?
So as soon as he was arrested, he began being difficult. He refused to confirm his actual identity and happened to be an incredibly hard-headed asshole. What do you know? His main defense was that he would never kill the women who were his friends. Like, well, these women were my friends. I would never. Like, oh, don't like 97% of murders happen between husband and wife? Like, I would never hurt anybody I love. Clearly.
Duh.
Yeah. So the investigating magistrate was named Gabriel Bonin, and he was sure he was looking at it as an open and shut case. However, it would turn out to be far more difficult than he anticipated. On Henri's person, when he was arrested, was a notebook that contained the names and information of a lot of his victims. In the notebook, there was not only names, but financial information on them. They would also find many places in which he was storing things that he had taken from these women, but not yet sold.
So he did keep a notebook with all of his lies to keep straight.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, when you're telling that many, you might need to just be like, okay, told them I was world record holder in swimming across the entire ocean. Okay, got it. Now they know that.
Get the name straight, too.
Had to
right?
swim to Australia as Fremyet. Okay, got it. So, Gabriel Bonin thinks, oh, we got this guy, we'll probably find a couple things and we'll be able to charge him for one, but it's blowing up. Like, it's becoming clear that there are likely multiple women involved, and there are a lot of victims who have been missing a very long time whose names are appearing in this notebook. In the notebook, there are not only names, but the financial information. They would also find many places in which he was storing things that he had taken from them. Again, and not yet sold. So mainly furniture, because he's good at slinging furniture.
Well, and his kid got arrested, so he's got nobody to move it now.
Right. Question number 10. Police found evidence of foul play at this home. What was it? Was it A, several women's jewelry? B, clothing of women of various sizes? C, severed fingers? Or D, charred bone fragments? They kind of get more severe as we go there, don't they?
Who was the...
Several women's jewelry, clothing of women of various sizes, severed fingers, or charred bone fragments.
Who was the one who got caught because he had a pile of wallets on the pig farm?
Oh, Willie Picton.
Yeah.
He's like purses and stuff. Yeah,
He had like a pile of purses. And
they found like an inhaler with one of the victims' names on it.
But like in the corner of his room, he just had like a heap of like women's effects.
Yeah. Real dumb.
Yeah.
Real dumb. Lots of them real dumb, as it turns out.
Yeah. Serial killers, not super smart guys sometimes.
Yeah, IQ's not real up there. What do you think, Amanda?
I said B, clothing.
Clothing of women of various sizes.
I said B, women's undies.
You know what they found? Charred human bones. The problem was Henri was very careful, and despite police finding what they believed to be charred human bones within a pile of leaves on Henri's property, they had no direct evidence of a murder taking place. It was determined by Dr. Charles Paul that the bones came from at least 3 different bodies. As a man of science, Dr. Paul wanted to avoid speculation in his report, and it is almost certain that he believed that these were not the remains of some of Henri's known victims, and that they may... And I am not a good writer. They were not the remains of some of his known victims, and they may be some that they do not even know about yet. Based on, femur size and things like that.
Previous DNA?
Yeah. They're like, I got a tip from this guy, time traveler, see? He said his name was OJ.
Swing that mic closer.
So, there was one eyewitness to Henri at one point dumping what appeared to be a heavy bag into a river nearby. This witness, however, refused to testify in court because at this point, Henri is probably fucking kind of scary. They found charred human bones over there. Yeah, I'm not testifying against that motherfucker.
But, like, you didn't think to say anything when it happened? Like, you watched a guy throw a thing into a...
It sounds like one of those classics where, like, they go to, like the old lady's house in the movie, and she's like, oh, yeah, I saw the murder. And they're like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, I didn't want to bother you guys and, come by it. But it's good that you're here now. So it kind of was, that's what it felt like to me. It was like, yeah, you know what? I did
bunch of
fucking
people
see him
minding their
dumping
own.
a big old heavy bag into the river now that I think of it. No, I don't want to get involved in this. My name's John Smith. Yeah, write it down. Make sure you write it down. December 1919, Magistrate Bonin would submit the case against Henri. He said that he believed that all the murders follow the same pattern of financial gain due to false relationships. Defense was very easily able to poke holes in the theory, however. They showed that multiple women he would get with were either broke or next to broke. And in some of the cases, Henri came in flush with cash and had no need for more. Come on, we all need a little more sometimes, right?
But where did he get it?
Yeah. Bonin also fucked up with a lot of his wording in the report, contradicting himself on the mental state of Henri. He states at one point that Henri is a monster that contains savage energy, but would later go on to talk about how sane and fit Henri was for trial. Bonin gave the assessment that Henri had gotten 16 years earlier, that he was, quote, my band name, remember, don't forget, on the frontiers of madness. However, the following year, it would all be changed, and the official stance would be that Henri was sane and fit for trial. There was a controversy around this as well, due to the fact that no evidence was shown to corroborate the changing of the man's mental state. So they're saying, like, he didn't go crazy or get sane. He was probably a little of both the whole time. You guys can't just pick one. And they're like, yeah, we can. Yes, we can. We can do that.
Well, then that's what they do now when they do, like, when they try to establish the mental capacity of people. They're like, they drove to the location. They got out of the car. They waited. That shows that there was forethought in this versus they were in an argument and beat somebody to death with the hammer that they happened to have in their hand. Right. Like that. That's temporary insanity.
Just so happened. Huh?
Yeah.
So many people believe that a lot of these mistakes were due in large part to the magistrate's pressure because he wanted to see a man on trial, not placed in an asylum. So he tried too hard and kind of fucked it up. In 1921, Henri was finally brought to trial in Versailles. The Versailles court was chosen to compromise between the two departments that had stake in the case. So Versailles was halfway in between Gambay and Paris.
Gotcha.
And I got fuck it. We'll do it. We'll do it right here. So, sorry, I hate myself too. The location was to benefit one. The fact that the judge was from Paris was to benefit the other department. So the location closer to Gambay, the judge was from Paris. That was the compromise total right there. The judge, Maurice Gilbert, decided to have an open court that allowed photographers in each session. Everyone wanted to see the supposed killer with a killer new nickname. Question number 11. What was that nickname? Was he known as the Gambay Swindler, the Thief of Women, the Parisian Parasite, or the Bluebeard of Gambay? Just stole women. The Thief of Women. The Parisian Parasite. Had Jesse recently watched a South Korean film before he wrote these questions? We'll never know.
I like the Thief of Women. It makes it sound like he smashes out windows and like carries them out under his arms.
Like,
caveman style. Just
I like it. All right, you guys got answers?
Yep.
Okay, what'd you say, Amanda?
I said A, the Swindler.
The Swindler.
That's what I said. Yeah.
It's a good name because I wrote it because he was the Bluebeard of Gambay. Greg will show you a picture of him if you could, Greg. Don't tell me what to do.
yeah. There we go.
I guess he's not so blue-bearded in that one. Later in life, he's quite blue-bearded.
He's got a steely gaze.
Yeah, he's kind of a creep.
I don't know, like, looking at him, it looks like he knows something.
He does. Who those pile of charred human bones belong to.
No.
No, that's not it. It's more like The Secret to Life.
No. It's like it's like he thinks he knows something about me.
He knows the perfect Arnold Palmer recipe.
It's 49% lemonade.
That's the trick. It's going to be on top. Since open court, this is kind of like, it's very unheard of at this time for a case of this magnitude, which there weren't a lot of cases of this magnitude, but any rather large cases to be given open court. Part of it was the public was invested. The public felt like they helped the investigation. And they did. So I don't know that, normally a judge is like, oh, well, I'll give the people what they want. It was Vince McMahon as the judge. But yeah, it's an open court, and that's crazy. And since this was the case, it became quite sensationalized throughout French newspapers at the time. The trial was quite popular and was said to bring many people, including French celebrities, who wanted to, hey, let me get front row seats, baby.
It's the trial of the century.
There were also out-of-town guests like Rudyard Kipling, who was in the area.
That's the guy who wrote the Jungle Book.
Yep.
No, wait.
I think you're right.
No. That was Sir something.
Look it up. I think you might be right. He was in the area accepting an award and heard about the case, talking he was receiving an award, heard about the case. He's like, yo, let me get I want to see. It is said that by the end of the trial, Gilbert had lost control of the courtroom, having filled the double courtroom to capacity with spectators. Question number 12. This one is open-ended. Give me your answer. Closest to the answer is going to get 250 points. How many spectators were said to fill the courtroom at the maximum? Double courtroom. Maximum in an open court. How many spectators were said to fill that courtroom? We've got kind of the last three questions in pretty quick succession here, too. We're pretty close to done. A lot could change right now. What we got scores? 750 to 250? A lot could change. All right, Matt, how many people?
I said 400.
400, Amanda.
I said 250.
Give Matt 250 points because up to 500 people would pack the courtroom near the end of the trial. The trial would last 23 days and was a huge story in and of itself, but I know nothing of the early 1900s French judicial system, so I won't I'm not going to pretend to understand any of this. I don't understand a lot about the American judicial system. So this just gives me an excuse. Early 1900s, French. You can check it out for yourself if you're interested, though. I'm sure it's fascinating. The jury would break to deliberate on November 30th, 1921. It would take them an entire 3 hours to choose an account of 9-3 to charge Henri with all 11 counts of murder. So that's already, we know it's different, right? It's got to be unanimous here.
Does it have to be unanimous for conviction, or does it have to be? It has to be unanimous for sentencing.
Conviction.
Okay.
Conviction too. Mm-hmm. I didn't know.
So 9-3. I'm guessing it was a majority thing, or they got to get at least, whatever percentage. But yeah, that's wild. But yeah, 3 hours. They're like, all right, fuck you three. Well, you guys, we're all good here. I want to go to lunch.
No. If we stay, we get the lunch free.
But we got to stay in the hotel again for another night.
And they don't have HBO.
In a separate charge, the jury... God, I hate that we're the same person. In a separate charge, the jury unanimously chose to charge Henri with the theft and the fraud as well. So those three who were like, he didn't kill him. I definitely defrauded them, though. The furniture is at his house. In his final words to the court, he was being escorted back to his cell, and he yelled out, I have never killed anyone! This is my final protest. But he said it all French. Mm-hmm. Question number 13. In what year did Henri Landru die? And here's where I won't go back and give you dates. This is where you had to be paying attention if you wanted.
So, closest to the answer.
He has been convicted of 11 murders and the theft and fraud of all 11 of those women. Closest to the answer is 250 points. If you can nail the answer, it is 1,000 points.
Good night.
And pretty much put it away for whoever does that, unless someone nails the next one, which the next nail is only for 500. But you got to nail it to get it. So, you guys got some years written down? What do you think? In what year did he die?
I said 1939.
39.
I said 25.
25. Amanda's going to get points on that one, too. Because Henri Landru was executed February 25th, 1922, after his final request for a footbath. Weird.
Like bathed by feet or getting his feet bathed?
Getting his feet bathed was, like, that was his... What do you... Final meal? No.
Not here to kink shame.
Get someone to rub my feet, please. So what do we got as a score?
1,000 to 500.
So you can tie it. If you get this next one and she does not, it will go to an artistic challenge.
If he nails it.
Well, this is one where it has to be nailed.
Okay.
Because it is not multiple choice, but there are only so many options.
Okay.
And here it is.
Okay.
Question the last. Question number 14. By what method was Henri executed? Guys, take it. 1922 France.
So can I think out loud? Because
listen, you're the producer of the show. You do what you're going to do, man.
well, I'm thinking about the different execution methods that they had back then.
Firing squad.
I would guess firing squad, hanging.
His dad seemed to think that was popular.
Yeah, that was say that's a family legacy.
Guillotine.
The guillotine. They didn't do lethal injection or anything, or electric chair.
They're barely figuring out the electricity thing.
Right. I don't know.
I would think really it's probably down to those three. When I think of it, like...
Were the stockades still a thing?
Was that a death sentence, though? Or
were people, publicly stoned?
Here's a rotten tomato for your face for 2 days, you dumb asshole.
Well, were they stoned?
I think we're past stoning, but I don't know. Let's see what you guys wrote. Let's do Matt. Let's see if Matt tied it up.
I said firing squad.
Firing squad. Amanda, what'd you say?
I said guillotine.
And Amanda would get the 500 points on that to extend her lead because, yes, Henri was executed by guillotine in an event that was said to take about 20 seconds from his exit to the prison door to his death.
Dang.
They brought him out, head in. Next. Yeah.
Number 12?
So, yeah.
Want to trade?
His body would be buried in a marked grave at the cemetery that the prison used. However, a few years later, the body would be disinterred and buried in an unmarked grave due to his family not renewing the lease for the spot in which he was buried. It was like, while he was alive, he was like, you guys are going to pay for the grave, right? And Motorcycle Club was like, of course, Henri, here, look, we're signing up for it right now. And then they're like, hey, you got to update the lease. And she's like, fuck that. Throw him in a hole. I don't give a shit anymore. Yeah, that's how it feels like to me.
I was going to say, that's what happens when you're a piece of shit.
So, fun fact, a few years later, the body would be disinterred and buried into an unmarked grave. A rumor has it that at this time, the head went missing. And it would later turn out to be true, as his head currently resides at the Museum of Death in Hollywood, California. I have seen it.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah, you can see his near mummified head. It is...
It's gross looking.
So I think we talked about this because we had to re-record this episode. Last time, I got to the very end of the research, and I usually go like, fun facts about this, or like 10 facts about this killer. I'll type that in to see if there's any weird ones. And it was like, you can see his head at the Museum of Death. I was like, I have fucking seen this thing. And just to be clear, I think I pointed this out last time too. You can Google or research for yourself the Museum of Death. They might have some weird connections with like some neo-Nazi artists, so you go support them if you want, but do your own research on who they're affiliated with before you do that. I'm just saying, I don't want to be the guy that's like, check out the Museum of Death. It is fascinating. It's cool if you're into very dark shit. You will see a lot of like real death. There's like a hall of like, vehicle accidents, and it's just photos of dead people. You want
to see his mummified head? Or
I don't care. I'll see it. I don't.
Yeah, she's like, fuck yeah, I want to see it. Come on, show me.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just hanging out there. It is the Museum of Death is an interesting place. They have supposedly things from the Heaven's Gate cult, like actual items, and they have like
got the running shoes.
Well, no. Well, so the thing is, they have like a glassed off area, and it's like a reenactment of the room. So they got the bunk beds, they're in the suits, the blankets are over them, the it's the whole thing. What was his name? Marshall Applewhite.
I think
the
so.
leader of the cult. He's like on the TV doing his weird shit. It's weird, but apparently, like, it's like, oh, this dresser is from that house. This lamp is from that house. So it's like there was shit. I don't know. It's a strange thing. There's like a room where it's all like medical stuff, but it's like they've got like surgery playing on the TV, and it's a very strange place.
If
But
Nike were smart, they would release some Heaven's Gate like throwbacks.
they stopped making those shoes like 6 months later.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they were smart, they would re-release that.
That's crazy.
Who knows? But if you're ever in the Hollywood area and you feel like supporting maybe some shady people, it's only like $18 or something. Thank you guys for being here so much. As I know it was it's hard for us to find guests all the time, so I like went to my personal Instagram. Amanda is a relative of mine. Matt is too. So for me, it was like, okay. Here we go. Hey, let me tell you some stuff about us before you get here, and see if you still want to come.
We just blindly support. We said, we'll come.
And I appreciate the hell out of that. Congratulations on your victory. We'll give you some other dates if you guys ever want to come back and do it again. If you don't, that's totally okay too. We got one episode out of you guys. That's enough. Right? You want to take a victory lap? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to share?
I had a question though.
Yeah.
Was he arrested on his birthday or close to his birthday?
Oh, that's such a good question. Let's find out.
Because it was April something. April 12th, I think.
He's
he
like,
was arrested.
it's my birthday, and you sons of bitches.
I felt like it was close.
So I think April 2nd is his birthday, and
April
he was
2nd.
arrested on April 12th.
So it was
You're
close.
very close.
Born April 12th.
He was born April 12th?
Yeah.
He was arrested on April 12th.
Born April 12th, 1869, Paris, France.
Wow, look at you making connections.
You know what?
Happy birthday, dear fuckface.
I'm giving bonus points.
Stretching out the victory farther. Bonus points for Amanda. Seriously, thank you guys for being here. I hope you had fun. I hope it was tolerable.
Oh, yeah. That's fine.
We can be a lot. Matt,
I barely said anything.
Matt, anything you want to throw out there?
No,
Anything
it's
you want
fun.
to share at the end?
I mean, like I was telling her, I don't watch or listen to podcasts. Never really have.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun.
You're like, hey, and now I'm on one.
Yeah.
You're drugged into it. Now you're in the ether forever.
now I'm going. It's going to be my search. All podcasts now.
Oh, thank you guys so much. For everybody out there, again, find us on all the social media grams. SerialChillersPod.com has everything. Mail us stuff. P.O. Box 1229, Clovis, California 93613. Explosives. Attention. Hello, Greg. Again, everything on Serial Chillers Podcast. Greg, anything you want to throw in at the end? My good friend.
Lonelyfans with 2Zs.com.
Yep. Well, if that's it, then for Matt, for Amanda, for Lonely Fan, Hella Greg, I'm Cromulent Jesse, and remember, don't talk to strangers. Bye!